Silver. Hey, Sam. Cool. Awesome. Cool. So I just went on. That's amazing. It's just like I like to do Instagram live. Let's just wait a little bit that there are more people joining. So while we wait that more people joining, I just want to show the amazing background we have because Sam is an artist, and this is the amazing painting from Sam Chilver. So, and Sam, you have one behind you.
Yeah, I'm in my studio here.
Yes, studio. I love it.
Yeah. So this is
Uh,
my.
so, guys, if you're joining, give us some love. This is Sam Chilvers' studio in Cabarete in the Dominican Republic. Sam Chilver is an amazing woman, first of all. She's a spa. She's also a kick-ass kiteboarder, and we're gonna hear her story. And she's this amazing artist, and you just saw her studio, and you can see the painting. So Sam, yeah, Sam, everyone is like cheering, sending you some love. Sam, so let's jump in. And first, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. And Sam, tell us who you are. I know you're Canadian, and I know you for many, many years, but tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, hey. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching as well, guys. This is actually the first time I've done a live video, so let's see how it goes. But yeah, as Audrey's told you, I am a professional artist and kite surfer. I'm originally Canadian, but I've been living in Cabarete for about 12 years now. And I spend the majority of my days painting in the studio you just saw and kite surfing. But at the same time, I get to travel a little bit as well, but I'm always really happy to come back to Cabarete and call it my home base.
Yeah. So Sam, remind us or remind me when you arrive in Cabarete, and then I have right away another question. What made you come to Cabarete from Canada at the first time?
Oh man, first off, I gotta think back to original Cabarete. If you can picture young, naive me, Audrey, you were actually one of the first people I met because I took my kiteboarding lessons at your kiteboarding school. So
I remember.
yeah, in a funny way, I wouldn't be where I am without you and your school. But to answer your question, and it's probably a little bit different than most people, and to be truthfully honest, I actually kind of ended up here by total dumb luck. I had never traveled. I had never been on a plane. I had never seen the ocean. I had never even heard of kiteboarding. I was the most young, naive little girl that you could imagine that decided to go on an adventure for a few months to the beach. And I wanted somewhere I could also paint, so I wasn't just like backpacking around. And through a series of Google whatever, I happened to rent an apartment that was on Kite Beach, Cabarete. So really the more interesting part is probably why I stayed.
Yeah. What made you stay, or what made you come back?
Yeah, well, it's funny. If you told me 12 years ago I'd still be living here, I don't know if I ever would have believed you, but at the same time, I wouldn't change a thing about it. So the initial answer I would actually say is probably because of the community. At the time, I just really loved everyone that was here. There's such an international community of really interesting people generally following their passions from all over the world that made me feel very welcome and accepted in a really cool, unique way. The second answer is obviously the kiteboarding. I mean, we have world-class conditions that honestly, I've got to kite in over 30 countries since learning and competing in the last 10 years. And there's nowhere quite like Cabarete. I mean, Cabarete, I kind of have this saying where, it's not the absolute best at anything, but it's really great at a lot of things. So it's just like the round amount of conditions and different things we can do here kiteboarding wise was the third reason it hooked me. Or the second reason it hooked me, sorry. And the third reason would actually be sort of a mix of the overall cost of living and general infrastructure. The reality, I mean, it's not quite as cheap as it once was, but the reality is it offered me a really high standard of living at not quite a first world cost, which as a young artist 10 years ago, I could sell one or two paintings and, I could get by with that. And then also there becomes little things over time that you take into a different consideration. like having proper postal service, having good infrastructure with roads and taxis and public transportation. I would go to these really exotic kiteboarding spots and be like, oh my God, Zanzibar, it's so incredible. Why don't I live here? And I'm like, well, because you can't order your paint off Amazon. You can't run a business out of here. You can't ship your stuff. All these different things become a huge factor when you actually want to live somewhere. So anyways, between those three things, the next thing you know, it's 12 years later and I'm still here, and actually I'm still really loving it, especially how much it's growing lately. An interesting like side note rant that I guess I'll just go on here is,
Yeah.
the last year or two as an artist, I had often been toying with like, do I go back to a major city? Would I make more money if I worked out in Miami? And the amount of times I'm walking down the beach and meet somebody that is literally a billionaire or connected with someone or a movie producer, I swear to God, happens more than it would be in Miami. And I don't know if it's just something because it's a different level of approachability and things like that, but it's really noticeable the last year or two. There's sort of a different element of clientele and people that are coming to Cabarete and being attracted to it. So I don't know. For me as an artist, I think this is a great thing, and I think it's going to really expand our community, and is one of the reasons I want to stay. And yeah, I hope that kind of gives you an idea of where I'm at.
Yeah. Absolutely. And actually, I remember when you arrived here, and Michelle just wrote in the post, she's also listening to the live. She's like, yeah, we remember when you arrived here, like young Sam, just learning to kiteboard. And you were just starting as an artist, right? So now 10 years later, how were you able to expand as the famous Sam Chilvers you are today?
Well, it's interesting, because Cabarete does have a really large tourism industry. There's a lot of people that come here and are allowing to take my work back to their home countries. One of the coolest things I can say is I have a painting in almost 50 different countries now, which, that's a really cool claim as an artist. And a lot of the people that I learned with back home, they're doing quite well, but they're not selling paintings all over the world. And that's another thing, excuse me, Cabarete has really allowed me, is just to have this huge international community and connection.
Yeah, and I can see you, like, you connect here with people, they order you painting and you send them worldwide, right? I see you picture of you painting in different house around the world. How does it make you feel about just like painting in Cabarete on that little island and then able to sell around the world? That's just amazing.
Honestly, it's actually really incredible. And, I'm really happy to call this place home. And honestly, sometimes too, maybe this might sound a bit full of myself, but there's times where people joke with me and they're like, you're Cabarete famous. And, in this little town, it is cool that, every apartment I go into, I'm like, oh yeah, there's one of my paintings. Oh yeah, that's one of mine, So it's, the community support here has been one of the biggest things. Like in my head, I'm like, it's cool to have all these international paintings. But at the same time, I think the inner town community support here can be a lot more fun. And when we do an opening or an event, everyone comes out and it's a cool party. Sorry, I know I went a little off topic there, but.
And I know we also see each other on the water, right? It's a big community of kiteboarders. So you mentioned earlier when you arrived, you just started your kite lessons 10 years ago, and now you a professional kiteboarder, a sponsored kiteboarder. So how that happened?
Oh yeah, kiteboarding's been quite a journey for me and a big part of living in Cabarete. As I mentioned earlier, I took lessons at Dare to Fly. I think it'd be about 10, 11 years ago now. And it's true what they say. If you learn to kiteboard in Cabarete, you can kiteboard anywhere in the world. It is not the easiest place to learn. It's not the hardest place to learn, but it's a really good spot to teach you everything you need. Over the last 10 years, I've been lucky enough to compete and travel all over the world with kiteboarding. I currently am sponsored by North and Mystic, which is a huge part of also allowing me to do what I'm able to do as an artist and kite surfer. And yeah, it's really cool here. There's just so many people over the years. You get to know them out in the waves. And as your disciplines change, you kind of end up having different sessions with different people and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yo, no, that's great. And I still love to kite with you. It's just amazing. And I remember when first lesson 10 years ago with Glenn, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say sometimes you were like one of my biggest inspirations back when I started too, though, because you were like the only girl on the beach that could ever do a handle pass, and there's like still videos, and like in such, you know, there's like you were the only girl that had done these things, and it was really cool for me as a young rider, and kind of inspired me to be like, oh yeah, I want to be like this girl, and yeah.
Thank you. I take that. Yeah, great. Sam, if people want to reach out to you, how can I connect with you? If they want to order painting or ask request about what you can offer?
Absolutely. So there's a few different ways. If you are in Cabarete, I actually have an in-store gallery located inside Millennium next to Andari Spa. So you can go in there anytime and check out usually my latest and best works. I also have a commercial studio on Kite Beach that's by appointment only. That you can reach out to me just sending me a message via Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Instagram, as you guys can probably see here in some ways, you can follow me at Chilvers Art. And lastly, you can check out my website at www.chilvers.ca. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me independently or whatever.
Awesome.
I think that's everything.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And you know, it's windy this afternoon, so I might see you on the water.
Yeah. Are there swinging these days?
Great. Sam, thank you so much for your time and for that amazing view behind you. And this is, guys, also a painting from Sam, which I love it in my house. Yeah. And the last little tour. Yeah. Very cool. Awesome.
Take
Great.
care, Audrey.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
You on the water, Sam.